to do it. I know you can, 'cause God, you are faithful to move again. These mountains, it seems big, but I know you're with me. Say, Jesus, I'm grateful until the very end. I can hear your voice singing over me. I'm free indeed. I can feel your power washing over me. I'm free indeed. You are my Savior, so I won't fear, 'cause I know you got this. Your power's here. You are my breakthrough. You're making all things new. So I praise you forever. To you I sing. I can hear your voice singing over me, and I'm free indeed. I can feel your power washing over me, and I'm free indeed. For God is on the throne.
Well, happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining us. It's Pastor Matt and Micah here, and we're just so excited, and today is going to be an amazing day. And today we are dealing with, I'm going to be talking about the heart and technology. And so today, I remember my father got the first cell phone in our area, and if in that time and area, if you had a cell phone, you were really cool. They were the size of a brick. You put it to your head, but you were really cool if you had a phone. And then there's the other people at high school. They had pagers, which would just page a number that was calling you, and you call them back hey dude, you're getting paged. You must be important. And so it was so cool for everybody to get a phone. And in that day, I guess. It was for the people that could afford it, and technology keeps improving and getting better, making our lives a little more efficient. And so I was at staff meeting, I asked people, do you guys remember those days? And they're all like, no, we have no idea what you're talking about, because they're all in their 20s. And but the times have changed, and I don't want to be that old guy who's like, oh, I remember the old days when we used to ride our bikes and but the truth is, I had video games too. They just weren't on my phone, and they just weren't in my pocket. But I did find an interesting thing, that when you compare how people treat each other, it's interesting that online I kind of get these I don't know, maybe it's personal opinions, or I don't know if you've seen it yourself. Maybe you have some pet peeves when you see stuff on the internet. And I have these ones that I call them online internet and offline internet pet peeves. So offline would be the people in the mall walking really slow, looking at their phone, and there's like nowhere to go, and they're like blocking the escalator up. So that's one of the offline annoying things with this technology these days. Another one, as a motorcyclist, people texting and driving. You're like doing 20 under in a 50 zone, texting, and you're all over the road. Please, for the love of goodness, stop doing that. That drives me bonkers. And there are a lot of videos that people make with bikers, dealing with people texting and almost running them over. So I'm just giving you a warning now. Your mirror may or may not stay on your car if you keep doing that. So offline, different things like that. Shopping, people talking really loud. I guess you can't help that. Or if you're on public transit and someone's having a huge conversation or loud music and there's like no earphones and you're like, oh, wow. And then you have 3 people doing that and then 4 people and it's just like, it's like, oh my goodness. So then you put in your earphones and I guess that solves the problem. Online ones, I think we've seen them. We have the picture of, you have a bad day and you post, having a bad day, or someone broke up with you and you're angry at, maybe not you or me, but someone we know is angry with their ex, and so they post pictures, or not pictures, they post like, so-and-so, insert strong word here, but they don't put their name, but everybody that knows them knows who they're talking about, but the people that are on the outside are like, what's going on? Like, they can read stuff into it. So, I just find that funny. If it's, sometimes you gotta let the steam out, but and I love also, I call this the private jab in a public post. That's what I call that thing. It's a private jab in a public post. And so you're doing something you should probably say to someone privately, but you're making it public because you're so stinking mad. So as my pastor once said, as emotions go up, your intelligence goes down. So there's a lot of emotional keyboard warriors out there, and you can tell by the language because, shouting now is like cap locks, exclamation mark, blah, blah, blah. Thank goodness for emojis to show how angry you are and how happy you are. So, people are acting quite funny, right? But the other thing is, like, even in the news cycles, it's like a character assassination. People will take, even an apology, even if you're apologizing, they would use it against you. And so it's kind of mean out there in some places. And I find that to be challenging. The other one is being offended. Everybody is so easily offended these days. It's great to stand up for something. And Ravi Zacharias put it this way. He says, people are equal, definitely equal, because they're made in the image of God, but all ideas are not equal. Which means we treat people with respect, but you deal with ideas, and sometimes we attack the person and not the idea, and sometimes people address the idea and people take it personally. So I don't know where you are on that, but it's interesting. Ideas, you got to be challenged and think and interact with these different things. You'll just keep ending up in your own little pockets of cones of silence of people that believe just what you believe, and you can't be respectful towards other people. So, behind the screen, it takes away a bit of distance, and you can be, no one's going to know who you are unless they track you down, right? But it doesn't give you a license. People think, like, don't be offended. Yeah, totally don't be offended. But if you hit somebody with a stick and wonder why they're yelling back at you, don't. How you say something is just as important as what you're saying as well. So, there's a lot of different, what they call internet etiquette or netiquette is kind of a few things that I'd like to see and talk about maybe in the future. The other ones are like, they tell you, all truth is relative. All truth is relative. 2 + 2 equals whatever you want it to mean. And then you give your opinion, and then you get shot back like, that's not right. So you're telling me everything's relative and my truth is my truth, but when you talk it, there's only absolute truth. Is that an absolute statement? So, I mean, it's kind of funny, and I find people can be quite unreasonable, right? And so, I mean, the issue is not so much the technology, I don't think. But I remember like times with even like churches, right? They wouldn't allow guitars in. Some of them still don't. But then they brought in amplifiers, and amplifiers amplify what was ever going on the guitar. I think that's what technology does. It just amplifies whatever's going on, or whatever you're playing. It just amplifies it, makes it faster, and go as far as you. I mean, it's just one of those things. And so, I mean, we wonder why people feel so disconnected. It's an amazing tool. We bring everyone so close together. We're so connected, but we're so disconnected. And I mean, we can be in the same room, but physically, but not be in the same room mentally. We can go to a restaurant and see two couples dating, and they're on their phone, having a great intimate time learning about each other. Hashtag sarcasm. And then we see other couples that are just talking back and forth, and you know, it's kind of a weird thing. To me, it's definitely changing, and it has changed for a while. But for some of you, it is actually normal. But then now they're talking about a new normal. Good grief, what's going to happen to me, you know? We've never been so connected but so alone in a lot of times. And I find it very, very, very concerning in a way, because there's like, on some ways, there's never been so much information at people's access to people haven't had so much access to information in all their life. So it's not like there's not information out there, but sometimes it's finding the right information and then finding out what is true and then finding out how to discern it. I mean, you can have truth and then look at it wrong and not see it as truth. You can have, you know, you can be speaking the truth, but it just gets crazy. And so a lot of it, I think, comes down to the condition of the heart. The thing is with the technology and phones, it's absolutely quite amazing, though. I mean, you get to talk to people you haven't talked to in a long time. Like my parents are across the planet. My sister's in Europe. So, I mean, I love talking to them. I'm so glad for this technology. I mean, the support of great charities or great causes have been propelled and moved ahead by the internet and by the phones. And so there's so many good things and so many bad things. And I think part of the issue is not like, what do we do about this technology? Like, are you really going to throw away your phone? Probably for 3 seconds, and you'll go back into the garbage bin and then dust off the eggs off of it and then, you know, look at it again. So the issue is not, I don't think the technology is going to go away. I mean, it's kind of like in the old days, if you have a car, you're probably not going to go back to a horse and buggy unless you think that having a car is an evil thing. But I don't think a car is an evil thing. I mean, if you even look at the movie Iron Man, it depended on who wore the suit is what happened, right? The suit could do multiple things, but it depended on who wore the suit is what happened with the technology. So I think the issue with technology is that it's not necessarily evil or good per se. It just is. But what technology does is it actually amplifies what's already inside of our hearts. So whatever's inside of you just gets amplified, and I can see that through even being from my dad's first cell phone to today, where everything is all on. Like, if you lose your phone, it's like losing your wallet. It's like losing a lot of your life in this little device. And I can tell, and I know why they came up with the word nomophobia. It is that panic that sets in when you lose your phone or you cannot use your phone, when the bar is low or there's no more power left and you're like, it's like, in the old days it was like losing your wallet, like where the heck did it go? Now it's like the bars are low, I have no signal, what's going on? And you're starting to get anxiety and panicky. So I mean, there's an actual word, nomophobia. But there's a lot of people out there, you know, it's just like, it's a great tool to use. It's not You just don't want to be used by the tool, if you understand what I'm saying. It's a great tool to have. So the issue is, I mean, a lot of times we point at kids like, get off your cell phone, get doing stuff, and sometimes relationships you can blame the other partner, like, we never talk anymore, like, you're always on your phone, which could be totally true, legitimate. But the issue I'm making is not the technology is not the problem, because it's a human problem. We've had these problems way before cell phones, way before the technology. People were having problems. You're not going to get rid of paper, because in the old days, paper, you used to write love letters and you used to write death threats. You used to make paper airplanes out of them, and you used to use it to set things on fire. So you're not going to get rid of paper. It's how people use things that is really the issue, and I believe that is the condition of the heart and what we're looking at. And I think the condition of a heart, and many times it's either soft or hard, and you're in between. And I think that really makes a big impact on how you see the world and how you receive information. And so the hardness of a heart and the softness of a heart, I think it's a big factor. The heart is a big factor for you and for me. And it's one thing that really, as Solomon once wrote in his analog Twitter account, the heart, everything comes out of the heart. So you need to guard it. And so I think yeah, technology has just revealed and amplified really what's in our hearts already. Right? Instead of in the old days, instead of ignoring you today on your phone, I would just go for a ride or do something else. I'll walk away. So I mean, it's just different scenarios with different technology, but I'm really saying it's a human problem, and that's really what we have to deal with. How we use the internet is really a condition or an amplification of really what's going on inside of your heart. I mean, if you think about this, you think, man, some people are so narcissistic, so all in about themselves. What better platform in all the planet to have is a phone where you can take 8,000 selfies of yourself? But then again, on the other hand, there's people that make careers out of taking pictures and modeling stuff. But the issue is not the taking the pictures, the issue is the heart. Is it pride? But I mean, even if you think about workaholics, they can't resist working. Now you can bring your work home. So the platform has just expanded your ability to work from home. It buzzes, and you're like in the dinner table, and you're like, I gotta get this. And you walk away, and so, I mean, it is what it is. And so it really is an old age problem. It just amplifies it. That's what technology does. So I wanted to talk and just finish off today about talking about your heart and why it's really important. You're smart, I know you are. You're observant. You know your own heart. You know that knower you have, that thing inside that tells you what you're doing is right, what you're doing. Like maybe some people call it the conscience as well, But, your heart, everything you do, that's what Solomon, one of the wisest men, said. You need to guard your heart. But if you're like, I don't know where my heart is, the beating ticket thing, The thing is, when we talk about heart, I think a lot of people know what we're talking about, right? And I think even in this time of COVID, maybe you're hearing it for the first time because you've had to slow down your busy life. And so it's a great time to be connected with God, if you believe in the Bible and Jesus and all that stuff. It's an amazing thing. Michael Hyatt wrote this amazing thing. He's a writer, publisher, leadership coach, and he wrote on leadership in terms of the heart. He says, your leadership, even if you're like humans, yes, but even in leadership, your heart is an amazing thing. Like how you guard your heart, how you keep your heart, it affects everything. And we know this. If you take somebody's heart out, they're done. You know that there's people that are still alive, but they walk around like they're dead. And that is really taking the heart out of somebody. So it is something. I mean, even online, the amplification of words and the heart or whatever is said behind it, some people just don't care because they can hide. Some people, so for your responsibility for who you are as a person, it is looking after your heart. And that doesn't mean hiding away, but it may mean at some point disconnecting to reconnect at some point. Just be wise. You know where you are in those certain things in your life. But he talked about this, Michael Hyatt talked about this, and he says, your heart is important leadership tool you have. It's not your experience, it's not your knowledge or skills, it's your heart that matters most of all. He said, King Solomon said in Proverbs, we're going to make this a legal church service because we need to use the Bible. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. You have to guard your heart because it's extremely valuable. Extremely valuable. You don't guard things you don't value. You don't take the garbage out at the end of the street and then sit and wait for making sure no one does take the garbage, do you? You don't do those kind of things. So some people, they don't actually guard their heart. I'm not saying build up a wall where no one can penetrate, or it's just being smart with things like that. And guarding your heart, because really out of it comes part of it, you think about this, if you had a dream that got crushed, you probably needed to guard that thing. If you had a desire or you wanted to do something, you got to guard those things in there. Make sure people don't knock it out of you, right? And so you got to guard your heart because it is a valuable thing. Number two, because it's a source of everything that you do. They say it's a wellspring of life, and springs are, you know what a water spring is. Sometimes they're underground and they flow. They've got good water. To plug a spring would mean to stop the water. To poison a spring would be to affect everything down the road. So sometimes our hearts, if they're not guarded, it can bring toxic or bring things that will affect downstream. So not just you or your future, but also the people, your friends around you can be affected by these, and even your job, your work, your clients, whatever it could be. If it's not dealt with, that spring, it feeds everything else. And if you want to look at two examples of the Jordan River feeding two water masses, even in Israel, it's the Jordan and the Dead Sea. And, just keep it without anything going out, and just keep it there with nothing. It's the Dead Sea has got its name for a reason, right? And then you have the Sea of Galilee, and then it's a great comparison. You can do that for homework if you want to check that out for yourself. The last one I want to talk about is because your heart is under constant attack. And that's one thing I believe people always attack is the heart. They try to knock it out of you. And it's not a morally neutral world. Let's just put it that way. People sometimes just don't care. They don't know you. But even there is a unseen, like would call him the devil, that would come to knock people out. His whole purpose is to kill, steal, and destroy. So if that's your agenda, it's probably smart to guard your heart, right? And usually it can come through, it's not just the devil. I'm not just going to blame the devil for everything, because then you get paranoid that you see a devil behind every rock. But he is out there, it's unseen, and it'd be unwise to not talk about it. But also he can use bad things that happen in our life. He uses those things like disappointment. I didn't know it was going to act like that. I had higher hopes for this. Maybe disillusionment, which is like, oh, I thought this was going to be so much better than what it is. And, the other one is discouragement, where you kind of lose your confidence. There's been a lot of talk about, even in 2010, there was a report from the New York Times, of all places, talking about how the clergymen or pastors and stuff, a lot of them are totally wearing out. they're going on antidepressants, like suicide rates are up, and they're just wanting to quit, but they actually can't quit. And I'm not saying that this is just a result of just attacks, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of attacks if you don't cover and protect your heart and those things. So I need you to guard your heart. The Lord wants you to guard your heart, and so you can guard it, you can protect it because it's worth a lot. But if you want to see what's in your heart, you just listen to people. See what they write online. And I think that's really the essence of what's going on, is people are trying to figure out what the right thing is and how to do it, and people have different heart conditions, whether they're really soft or really, really hard. And I think in this mass of humanity, what we really need is a heart transplant. And even for Christians, we know that the whole purpose of Jesus coming was to change our hard hearts. Yeah, we know rules now. Yeah, Christians know how to do stuff, supposedly. Sometimes we've been the worst, the most judgmental. But then you're saying not to judge. Am I supposed to go around and say not thinking about anything? You understand what I'm saying? The real issue is the heart. And the only way to change a heart is from the inside out. And so that is why Jesus came. That's why he died on the cross. That is why he took the punishment for our sins, for the wrong things that we do, both present and into the future, because he died once. He's not going to come back and do it for every time we mess up, right? That's not the way it works. He died once for all, and it's for all humanity. It's for every possible human that will accept that forgiveness that he has. So the great start is technology is not the problem. It's a human condition problem. Technology just amps it up. But in all things, good can be used from the technology. So everyone that's using technology to bless people, to promote, celebrate with other people, that can be positive, that can reach out to the disconnected. And so keep doing that great, keep doing it, keep being great, keep being that influence online, using your technology for good, and keep being strong, guard your heart, everything comes out of it. So bless you, I will see you next week, and take care of yourself, take care of others, and keep being awesome. Okay.
Hi, Noodle. Hi, Ellie. What are you doing?
Oh, hi, Ian. Ellie and I are having an arm wrestle. Yeah, I'm gonna win. Yes, I win.
Wow, good job, Ellie.
Oh, I always lose.
It's okay, Noodle.
But it seems like I always lose at everything. I never win. Everybody else is better than me at everything. That's not true, Noodle. I feel like I never do anything right most of the time. I know what you mean, Noodle. I am good at arm wrestling, but sometimes I do wrong things like fighting with my friends or my mom, or don't brush my teeth when that tells me to. I always mess up.
Well, I think we all feel like that sometimes, Ellie. But did you know that God has made a way for us to win every time? Not like in all games, but like in life, Like when we feel like we make mistakes a lot or do wrong things, we can go to God for help, and He changes us on the inside.
Oh yeah, like Easter program, we talk about sin on the inside, but when we give our lives to God, He cleans us on the inside.
That's right, and that's what being born again means. So we sometimes make mistakes, but because God has cleaned us on the inside, we can learn from Him how not to sin anymore day by day. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Romans 8:31 says, if God is for us, who can be against us? Wow, that means that even when we make mistakes, even when we sin, sin no longer has to win in our lives. Wow, we can win because Jesus has already won for us. So those things that we struggle with, like lying or disobeying our parents, God changes us on the inside so that we can win over that sin in our lives. Isn't that awesome?
Wow! Yes! This is a great news! It's not going to help me beat Ellie at arm wrestling, but it will help me win in life! That's right, Noodle. Hey, Mom! I have an idea. What about a craft we can do for Romans 8:31 for today's lesson? Yay! Oh, I'm excited!
Okay, so our craft today is a trophy. Okay, we're gonna make our own trophy, and it's based on our scripture, Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us? So, the materials that we need for today, we see number 1, and there's our scripture. The materials that we need today, let's look at the table. All right, Ellie, what do we need?
We are gonna need cups. 2 cups.
2 paper cups.
2 paper cups.
Yes.
And we are gonna need tape, paint, yellow paint, and
Yep.
a paper plate.
Or anything that you can put paint on. Okay? So if you have a palette, you can use that. And of course, if we're painting, then we need some paintbrushes. Yeah. Of course, we need some tape. So you can use
Double-sided tape.
You can use Scotch tape here, boop, boop, okay? Or you can use double-sided tape, which I think is stronger. Don't you think, Ellie? Yeah. All right, so some good scissors, okay? And some markers so that we can write our scripture. Okay, so Ellie, first of all, let's look at our sample. We need some 2 handles on this. You see that? We need 2 handles, but our cup only has 1 handle. So we're gonna take the handle from cup 1 and tape it together. Then we're gonna take the handle from cup 2 and we're gonna tape it onto cup 1, all right? So we're gonna take our second cup, and you see here, with our trophy, we've got 2 handles. So we're gonna take the handle from our second cup. We're gonna cut it off. Before we cut it off, I'm going to use my pencil and draw a line all around the bottom so I know where to cut. I want to cut the whole bottom part of the cup off, right at where the end of the handle is, okay? I'm going to draw my line. Okay, I'm going to cut my handle off, okay? So now I've cut my cup. I've got the base and I've got the rest of the cup. So I'm going to need this to make the pole, just like you see in our sample. We need a little pole here to connect the base to the top part of the trophy. So I'm going to use this part of the cup, okay? So first thing, I'm going to cut off the rim, like that. And I'm going to maybe cut half of this. And I'm going to roll it So Ellie, can you please get some double-sided tape? We're going to tape the rim. We tape on the inside, okay? So now we can see our pole, and we're gonna put 4 nicks in our pole so that we can have something to tape the pole onto the base. So we can nick them and tape them.
And I am gonna stick it on. Stick it on.
Okay, we're just gonna use our double-sided tape or our Scotch tape.
Right in the middle. Oh. And now we are gonna paint it.
So once your cup is dry, you can write the scripture on the front, Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us? And then on the other side, we have just written number 1, okay? All right, so thank you for joining us for Sunday school this week. All right, Noodle? All right, Ellie?
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Stay happy.